Folks like to see these recaps. Just give me a second here. It's recorder starting. Okay, so here we have the trade recap for Wednesday morning. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on these charts, but I am going to show a couple of things here real quick. This is YM. If you recall, we called out a level in the room to buy a break of 66. I wanted to show why I was looking at that area. Can you see we had a little consolidation patch here, kind of hovering around this support pivot? See how we kind of are oscillating above and below it, oscillating above and below it. Saw a nice breakout level here at 66. Had a buy order right here, plowed right through it, got filled. And I'm not here again going to get into a lot of detail where you could have taken profits and re-entered, but you can see we just had a number of nice probe trades here. Worked out very nicely. Depending on where you got filled at the breakout and your exit up here, you had an opportunity of around 70 ticks per contract. Nice, beautiful run up here. Of course, you probably would have been stopped out now when it came back through this pivot, so you'd be out of this trade now. See how it's going into kind of a yellow bar probe here. Nice breakout on YM, just a beautiful runner. Similar price action, of course, on NASDAQ and the other equities. Let me bring those charts over real quick. Here's the NASI trade. Similar situation. All these charts are going to look very similar to each other. Here you had a nice consolidation patch here. It was in there. It was in this box for a while too. Remember, it was about 7 o'clock when we peaked out here, right? Rolled over, went in the soup. Stayed in there all the way until 7:45 was a high energy. I forgot to put that on here, by the way. Right here, 7:45 was a high energy time. Happened to correspond with the breakout level. And all these charts, by the way, if you had noticed and had your Pro Package guidance dots on there, the 12-range guidance were pretty much long on all these charts. So we were, it wasn't taking out these support levels down here. We were looking for a break, and sure enough, we got a nice pop on NASI here. Just finished a probe. Probably noticed that. You got a little double top. Here's a little probe trade. Boom, back up, double top, and now she's going back in the soup. Similar price action on EMD. EMD, surprisingly, when you see this chart, you're going to see a little bit of divergence because it went further than the other equity instruments. Here was our consolidation patch here. I like a 10 on EMD. It's a little tighter. You can use a 12. Both were long as far as guidance was concerned. Coming into our little consolidation patch here. Of course, you see the breakout here just above 87. You could have jumped the gun a little bit here if you saw coming off this little yellow probe. You could have actually bipped in right here when it took out 86, anticipating a break. But if you didn't, you still got a nice break here. And depending on your entry and exit, you got about at least 50 ticks out of there. Doug asking about a probe on NASDAQ. Doug, I'll come back and look at that in a second. I just got one more chart to show here. Guidance was long. We were looking for a break. We got a break here, got a break here. And then notice how you almost really got EMD was the strongest of the bunch when you look at these other charts. It just, the other ones had nice retracements into support, but EMD just ran like a big dog. Same with Russell. I think Gary actually took this trade and showed this trade in the room. Here's your Russell trade. Consolidation patch. It's interesting here on the Roostai Russell TF contract. If you didn't take this little break here, just under 38, the nice thing about Roosty, punch up through the pivot, pull back to higher level support. See how the support resistance became support, and boom, up she goes. Up she goes. And this was that last gasp. I think, Gary, you actually closed your contract out here on that last little gasp up here. Isn't that where you just got out?
In fact, I used crank stop.
Yeah, crank stop. Just punched up. See how it was hitting its head on that pivot? Hitting its head, boom, up she goes. And that would have been a good place to bank the coin because it now looks she's back in the soup. Guidance dots were long, looking for the break the whole time. So that was keeping us on the long side of the equation. And a nice up she went. So any questions? Questions on the equity charts today? I didn't look at the earlier price action before 7 o'clock. There was actually some trades that set up over here. Around the open, there was a little break that popped up. Between 6:30, 7 o'clock, you had a little breakdown. I didn't want to get through all those. I just wanted to show these little breaks. If you've been patient and just waited for the high energy time, right here, 745. Nice clear consolidation patches, beautiful textbook breakout trades. Any one of these could have been one and done, major morning. One and done, major morning. Pat, these dots here are the guidance pro package. You have the guidance dots. You can set them to, the longer range charts, like a 10 or a 12. In this case, we used a 12. Yeah, this, unfortunately, when you get these consolidation patches, they can be a little mind-numbing sometimes. I mean, this one lasted the better part of almost an hour. I mean, we didn't, you could have been buying probes off of support here. There were some probe trades in here. But I'm personally more of a breakout person myself, but there was some probe trades in here that worked out very nicely. All right, Doug is really trying to get me to take a look at the NASDAQ chart, so let's come back over here.
Well, you've got a red bar probe now on the NASDAQ. It's the first one we've had, so that one's worth a shot, but we're late, getting later in the session here. But if you want to take it, it's a minimal entry, minimal contract entry after the runs.
Yeah, let's look at these charts all next to each other, just for the halibut. Yep, it's trying to hold these support levels. Here's NASDAQ, here's YM, and EMD all right next to each other. Getting red bar probes. Yeah, you could buy in here with a tight stop. I personally am not going to take it. Well, for a couple of reasons. I've already made some decent money trading earlier, and I'd have to see some, I would have personally liked to see some of these higher levels hold to make me want to get in. For instance, right here, I would have liked to really see that level hold with a bounce. And now that it's come through it and it's trying to hold here, I think I'd really want to see some kind of resumption of buying happen, and it's not doing it just yet. For instance, right in here, see this little swing? I would have really liked to see, if you had a really nice probe kind of on YM here, or NASDAQ, see this level right here? I'd like to see a little bounce in here, and it's not doing it just yet. Yellow bar, would I have taken a yellow bar probe? No. Doug, I think he's asking would I have taken this yellow bar probe. No. No, well, I mean, I can get into this tonight in the webinar. I'm just going to show one thing real quick here. We teach this in our webinars how to do this, but you really pretty much take a retracement line at a 45-degree angle, and then you want to see that broken to the upside. And see how it's not doing it? In my view, you don't have a legitimate probe here. See, contrast the price action that you see now with this, just right here. See the difference? See, I had a resumption of buying, and up she went. You don't have that same thing happening here. It's retracing deeply and could continue to drop. I'd want to see some kind of resumption of buying happen myself, and that would be that. Hope that answers your question. It is bouncing a little bit. We'll see if she can get up through this level here, take these swings out to the upside. Could be probing. I think it's a little higher risk trade myself at this time of day. Well, I think that's it. I'm going to turn off the recorder. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to